So where are you working?
I work at Mountain Dearborn.
Where was that? Is that downtown?
Yeah, it's on Main Street.
Okay.
What's the name of it?
Mountain Dearborn and Whiting.
Junk. I see stuff at work from them.
Yeah, we're...
Good evening. As a preliminary matter, this is John Regan, Chair of the Auburn Planning Board. Permit me to confirm that all members are present. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Ronald Brooks.
Aye.
Todd Corain.
Aye.
Sierra Smara.
Aye.
Duarkesh Nallon. Not online yet. Town officials and employees participating, when I call your name, please respond to the affirmative. Town Planner Adam Menard.
Here.
Staff Assistant Daniel Chamberlain Roberts.
Here.
Just a minute. Could the people in the hall please quiet down or close the door? Thank you. Good evening. This is open meeting of the Town of Auburn Planning Board of Tuesday, April 25th, 2023, now called to order at 7 p.m. This meeting is being conducted as a hybrid format under Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. For this meeting, the Planning Board is convening in person and by remote access. The remote access information has been placed on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by the Auburn Cablevision. Is there anyone here in the audience tonight that is recording tonight's meeting? Being none. According to those members of the Planning Board, employees, and members of the public who participate remotely, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Please rise and join us in the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All supporting materials have been provided to the members of this body are available on the town website. I'd like to remind audience, applicants, town administration, and each of the planning board members to please refrain from asking any questions in regards to all matters discussed this evening without first being granted my consent. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. First on the agenda tonight is A&R for 89 Prospect Street. Is there anyone here present for 89 Prospect Street? Please go to the mic and state your name and your address, please.
My name is Walter Frick. I actually live at 87. My daughter is at 89. We're applying for a A&R plan.
Yeah, you're conveying the small lot behind your lot,
Yes,
from their lot to your lot.
yes.
Does anybody have any questions?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I have no questions.
No questions?
Questions? May I vote to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the request.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll
Aye.
second. I'll second and aye.
All right, aye for Todd, aye for Ron.
Aye.
Aye for Samara, aye for me. John Regan is the vote. What's that?
Duarkesh is on.
Duarkesh? I think you're muted. Either way, we carried the vote. You're all set, but you got to sign the...
If you want to wait a minute, we'll get you your copy.
I just saw something from them. Mountain Dearborn and Whiting.
Yeah, I'm in the Trust and Estates Department, but we have like practice in all different kinds of areas, so it's pretty good firm.
We use Myrick and O'Connell,
Mm-hmm. They're great, yeah.
and we've had Bowditch and Dooley.
Yep, they're amazing too.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry.
You need to close the hearing and then.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is applicant S&K Development LLC requesting a special permit under section 5.3.2 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a hammerhead lot at 375 Oxford Street, North Auburn, Mass. 01501, map 40, parcel 97. This has been continued from our 4/11 meeting. The meeting is still open. And may I read the letter from their surveyor? Dear members of the Auburn Planning Board, on behalf of the ownership applicant SK Development LLC, we request to withdraw our application for special permit with prejudice for above referenced property filed with the town clerk. We also request any unused portions of the application review fees be returned to the owner's participants. Thank you for your consideration. Topper Land Survey. Do we have any discussion here regarding this?
To the chair, I'll just mention that I already contacted them and said there's no fees to return.
I make a motion to close the hearing?
Thank you. May I have it?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Myself, John Regan, aye. It is a vote. May I have a motion to accept their withdrawal with prejudice?
I'll make that motion, and their fees are at discretion of staff. Is that appropriate?
Yeah, they open that, generally what we do is like they open a hearing, there's no fees to with.
I just want in there, since they do say they want their fees returned, I just wanted the vote to say at
Yep.
discretion of staff.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Rakesh? Myself, John Regan, aye. It is a vote.
And Adam, that means they gotta, with prejudices, they gotta start over.
Yep.
Next on the agenda is applicant Kimley Horn Associates requesting site plan approval under section 3.2.6.1 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for self-storage facility at 319 Washington Street, Auburn, Mass. 01501, map 42, parcel 31. This has been continued from our 4/11/23 meeting. Is there anyone here representing Kimley Horn Associates? Being none, may I have a motion to continue this to our next meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Myself, John Regan, aye. Duarkesh? It is a vote. Next on the application, on tonight's agenda is applicant Eastland Partners Incorporated requesting site plan approval under section 3.2.6.0 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a warehouse distribution facility at 190 Washington Street, Lot 1, Auburn, Mass. 01501, map 34, parcel 4. Continued from our 4/11/23 meeting. Is there anyone here representing Eastland Partners?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. On behalf of the applicant, my name is Steve O'Connell from Turning Point Engineering for a site plan proposed at 190 Washington Street. This is a continued public hearing. Since the last public hearing, we have prepared revised plans in response to department comments and engineering review comments by Graves. We received earlier today what I would consider a clean letter from Graves Engineering. All of their comments have been addressed in the revised plan. A few outstanding items would be, as they said, the discretion of the board, which we can certainly get into. But what I'd like to do is just take a moment and maybe present some of the, revisions that occurred. They're pretty minor, and would generally just take a moment, if that's okay.
Yeah, I just want to let you know, we can't vote on it tonight because we didn't get it in time to review.
Yeah, I didn't expect,
Okay.
Didn't expect you to
Just wanna
vote.
Let you know before you go through all the trouble.
No problem. Okay, so, pretty simple. So I can get the microphone too. So, I guess the biggest department from a comment standpoint was the fire department. We met with them. We talked about the feedback. Talked about access to the building. That's strange. New audio hardware. Okay, thanks. So we talked about access around the building, and as the fire code relates to the site, we made a few minor adjustments. I would say the biggest adjustment we made was where the water was going to come into the building. So initially, it seemed logical that the water would be tapped right off Washington Street, come right into the back side of the building. But that just presented issues for the fire department that, was great insight. I'm glad we were able to, to learn that. And, a quick summary of what that means is if the water comes in here in the back of the building, and that's the sprinkler room, when they enter the building from the points of entry, they have to try to get to that sprinkler room where the valves are and other equipment that tell them, what's going on with the fire suppression equipment. So what we're able to do is we're able to move the sprinkler room to a more easy point of access. The water for the building will now connect to the water that's already looping out to 190 to Washington Street, and then it's going to loop across the front of the building and then tie into the subdivision road on Commerce Drive. So that's actually going to create a loop. What that loop also allows us to do is be able to provide 3 hydrant locations that the fire department selected that are shown on the plan. And they also confirmed during our meeting that the truck turning radiuses proposed were adequate. The only minor change we made to the layout was you can see a little turn backup lane right there. So their vehicles can, I'll go right to that sheet, their vehicles can drive in, back up. They can make this maneuver, they can back up, and they can pull out. They can pull in along here, they can pull up here, they can back out, and they can pull out. A separate maneuver, they can pull in, they can drive along the lane, they can actually make this turn and sweep and right back out. They've been very good to work with. They've provided us all their equipment and their specifications on their apparatus. We're able to model that in vehicle turning software to their satisfaction, and I think it's a great, kind of working together scenario. The other comments we received were from the DPW or slash sewer department. They were regarding sewer slopes and sewer connections, very simple, straightforward. We provide cleanouts at all the sewer connections. We did request a waiver from their minimum slope of 2%. We are about 1%. It's a waiver they've always granted us. Waivers, the sewer slope on the access road are all 2%, but on the private site, we're a little under 2%. Certainly acceptable for industry standards. We're more than 0.5%, but we're about 1%, less than what they like to see is 2%. Again, we've requested that waiver. The other comment came from the Auburn Water District. The Water District just asked that, water valves be proposed where the water is going to come off of the main. So again, the water main comes down the subdivision road, through the emergency access drive, back out to Washington Street, creating a loop. The water main is going to continue along the front of the building to connect the loop. They just asked that three-way valve be installed here at this connection so that they have the ability to isolate the water supply as needed.
What about on the other end?
Yep, the other end as well.
What about on Washington Street?
Yeah, there's a single valve at Washington Street. That's all they needed. That's all yep, and that work is already done because that was part of the subdivision. So that stub has been brought in off of Washington Street and stubbed off under the supervision of the Water District. And the final comment we received was from the building department about providing dumpsters. So we illustrated 2 areas on site at the end of this parking area and in this parking area that were logical locations for dumpsters. They were locations we always thought they should go, just failed to show them on the first set of plans, so clearly illustrated them here. Other than that, really no changes to speak of.
Are the dumpsters going to be screened from the road?
Yes, yep, they will be screened.
Now, the valve coming in from Washington Street, is that on Washington Street, on the T, or is it inside the property?
It is shown as in Washington Street.
On the edge, middle, I don't know where the water main is.
Yeah, it's off the pavement.
It's off the
But it's
pavement?
in the layout of the state highway layout.
Okay.
I wasn't in attendance at the last meeting, but I was able to attend remotely, so I wasn't in attendance in person, but I wanted to report back to the board. There was some discussion about Ross Express's operating hours. We spoke to the president of Ross Express. He's a very, very good man, stand-up individual. We talked about his operating hours, and he was a little taken back. And he told me that on one occasion, on a Saturday, they had to take trucks off of the site that were not Ross trucks. The way that Ross operates is most of their trucks are their own trucks, but they occasionally get shipments from trucks from other companies, from other parts of the country, Canada. So what happened is those trucks came into the Ross facility on a Friday during normal business hours. They parked at the loading dock. Snowstorm came. They couldn't get out before when they close on Saturday. So what happened was a little bit after noon on Saturday, when they were able to get the snow cleared, those 2 or 3 trucks were able to depart. And that was the only time that ever happened. So I just wanted to report back to you that was the case.
Appreciate it.
Yep. So, that concludes plan revisions. I can go over some other aspects if you have questions since you heard this, was presented the first time. I know you want to review Graves' comment letter that came in today, but other than that, I'm here and available and happy to answer questions if there are any.
Appreciate that. Anybody in the audience have any questions? No, you got to go up there, Doreen, please. I appreciate it. I got to get a traveling mic.
It's really not a question. I just want to echo my previous comments. The concern with allowing this building to go in without the road improvements done. I don't know where we are with, Mass DOT on getting those road improvements done. I understand the developer wants to get in and get out of there. They're there every day, working all day long, and they want to get this site done and out of there. But again, we have a building that is unknown who's going in there, unknown what type of traffic there will be. The road improvements being done that were approved through Mass DOT are waiting for approval, and I'm not sure if they have their easement agreement with Mass Electric, National Grid,
Eversource.
to do the work. But again, I'm not, this project is happening. I don't want the board to think like, oh, she's up here, she's a NIMBY, she doesn't want this to happen. I truly am concerned. I mean, it took me probably 8 minutes to pull out of my driveway this morning because I was headed to Boston a little late, so I probably was leaving at like 8:45. It took me 8 minutes to pull out of my driveway, just nonstop trucks. And I just think that, people have been there. You can say they live off of Route 20, but they've been there for a long time. And I think that we need to do the road improvements before we just allow another unknown business in there, or at least give us a little bit more about, who you're in talks with, what type of business it's going to be, what type of operation it's going to be. And I appreciate the comments about it being one Saturday that there were a couple of trucks, and I went back, I looked at the minutes, and it is 6 a.m. that they're supposed to stop, not noon time, 6 a.m. And, it's like, I don't want to do like a he said, she said, but we lived there and saw it. And that's all I'll express to the board, is that I didn't come up here and make that up. I saw it on multiple occasions, on Saturdays and maybe 2 Sundays. And I said to you at the last meeting, I'm not going to exaggerate it and say it happens all the time, because it doesn't. But I certainly did not get up in front of this board and exaggerate the number of times that trucks were coming out of there. It was not one Saturday of a snowstorm. And I would never get up in front of this board and lie to you because I'm concerned about a project.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
But let me ask you a question, Dory, before you sit down. Yes. On the truck traffic this morning, when you couldn't get out on Route 20, you were taking a left from where you live, right? to head
I
toward
was.
Mass Pike?
Heading to Mass Pike.
So I don't think the trucks were coming out of this lot. They're
Oh,
just
they
coming
were.
down Route 20.
Ross Express?
I'm sure they came out, but there wasn't a line of trucks that held up Route 20 for all the trucks to get out.
No, it was just nonstop.
Yeah, from other truckers.
I counted at least 9 Ross Express trucks. So I've also seen them like kind of stop traffic and let cars out, which I don't want to get into a whole thing about that, but my point is, let's before you take a vote on this, at least let's get some information on where we are with Mass DOT on these turning lanes. I mean, please take a ride down there and look at the road, look at the lines in the road. It's easy to do a traffic study. It's easy to, stand before this board and say things. Like, live it. Live, thankfully nobody's been in an accident, but certainly things like coming close because people are waiting to, I see it pulling out of this site, the truck's pulling out, an employee pulled right out in front, I don't want to say an employee, a car coming from that site pulled out. I mean, let's just do the road repairs or get some additional information as to what type of business. It may be a business that we don't have a concern that there's constant traffic. I mean, and no disrespect to the board, but I listened to your comments about the storage unit and like people put their stuff in a storage unit, and then, I mean, I know I visit mine maybe once a month. There's not a lot of traffic. This site is like a serious amount of traffic, and I'm just asking the board to address all the issues before we just let another large building and of the unknown, and we talked about that at the last meeting. It's the unknown. We don't know what's going in there.
Well, I'm pretty adamant about looking at everything before I vote on it. We're not voting tonight because we
Oh, I
didn't
know,
get
and I appreciate that,
the comments back, so.
and Barbara couldn't be here, so I'm kind of the voice of the people. Thank you so much.
Do you have any idea when Mass DOT is going to approve or whatever the road improvements there?
So they're reviewing what they call the 75/100% plans. They have statutory review timelines. Could be 90 days. Those 90 days are likely going to result in some sort of comments that have to be, addressed and lead to revised plans. A bond has been furnished to Mass DOT at their request, and essentially, their expectations are that the work must start by the spring of 2024. It would likely start sooner, but they require that the work must start by 2024, the spring of 2024. So that would be next spring.
So when did the application first go into Mass DOT? 2 years ago?
Less. Yeah, no, about a year ago.
Still, it's a year.
Yeah,
I
have you
mean-
dealt with Mass DOT?
Like dealing with a telephone company or electric company.
Exactly.
you know what
Yeah,
it's like.
yep, and there's,
That's ridiculous.
yeah, it's just a
So-
difficult process.
Well, we have Ross Express going in and out of there maybe 5.5 days a week. And this possibility has another trucking outfit moving in with the warehouse. I don't know how we can safely let that go forward for the traffic coming out of one road. All that traffic comes out of one road.
Yep. Well, I want to remind this board that you approved a subdivision with much higher traffic proposed. The traffic report submitted with the subdivision projected much higher traffic volume. You approved that subdivision. So the expectations for traffic were set, and they're going to be much less.
Yeah, but those expectations are also voted on because we're gonna have road improvements. They're not done.
Well, no, they're not.
Caveat to that.
Yeah.
I
well,
mean,
there's-
yeah, we can approve the traffic coming out, but without the road improvements, I'm not gonna approve anything. I can't, I mean, it's like, probably, how many trucks you got going out of Ross Express a day, 100, 150?
No, absolutely not. They
How many?
They probably have 40.
Right, 40. 40 in, 40 out, right?
No, they have about, it's an 80 dock facility.
Yep.
So trucks come in the evening, they get ready to ship out in the morning, so it's 40 on one side. And those trucks if they come back the same day, so if 40 leave, less than 40 comes back the same day, they come back over a 3-hour period, not necessarily this, a 1-hour period when they generally leave in the morning. So, significantly different scenario.
It just seems funny to me that she's seeing one Ross truck after another after trying to get out at 9 o'clock in the morning. That tells me they're all loaded at night, they all get in the truck at the same time, they all leave at the same time.
Right, the morning they leave, and they generally, most of the Ross trucks leave in a 1-hour period in the morning, but in the afternoon or evenings, when they return from their destination, it's usually over a 3-hour period.
Yeah, it's because they're all going to all different destinations.
Correct, exactly.
I mean, it's hard for me to fathom 40 trucks coming out all at once. The traffic amount we approved was over a course of a day.
Well, there's peak hour, there's peak hour
9
projections. in the
o'clock's
part of-
peak hour.
No, I'd be happy to bring the traffic study and, and
That would
discuss
be
it.
appreciated.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's
Yep.
been, you guys started this process 2 years ago, right, roughly?
Yeah, it's a big project.
Yeah. Oh, no, I understand that. I'm just that I can't remember the traffic study.
And and if you're not aware, there was a temporary widening that the DOT approved. So the temporary widening has a turn lane in and a from the westbound lane and a turn lane in from the eastbound lane. The permanent widening, that construction, when it is approved from DOT in the next 90 to 120 days, that permanent widening work is going to take probably close to a year, just given the nature of work occurring in Route 20.
Off the top of your head, you know how many square yards on each side has to be affected to make the lane?
So, about across from the entrance of West Tech, from there up to the entrance of Commerce Drive is going to be a turn-in lane. And then from,
But you're just going from the edge of the existing road out to make the turning lane. You're not taking all of Route 20, right, starting all over again, that whole area?
No, there'll be significant work. So on the westbound lane, there's going to be a turn-in lane. There's going to be what they call a buffered bike lane. So it's a 3-foot buffer, a 5-foot bike lane, and then a 5-foot sidewalk, and then a new guardrail. And then on the eastbound lane, there's a buffered bike lane, so a 3-foot buffer with, white striping, and then the bike lane. So Mass DOT has a program called Complete Streets. So the project had to meet their Complete Streets program to the maximum extent practicable, and that was the outcome of their review. It's not a small task, I can tell you.
No, I'm not saying it is, but
Yeah,
it kind of baffles me how they're putting a bike lane from one end to the other, nowhere else on Route 20.
We did not win that argument.
It's just stupid.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Ridiculous.
We did not win that argument, unfortunately, and
I want to ask the state, how does the bike get to the bike lane?
yeah, their logic is the next person that comes along will extend it, the next person on this side will extend it, and, we tried, we lost that fight, and we weren't looking to get out of doing work. We said, let's put this effort and resources into somewhere that makes sense, maybe down in front of Price Chopper, where you get people trying to cross 4 lanes playing Frogger, almost getting killed. But again, we tried and lost that argument. We had meetings with DOT in person, and they live in a box. And unfortunately, they forced us to live in that box too.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You do.
Nothing this time.
Sure.
So just a quick question, in terms of when you start construction on this, how long before this building is constructed and you're ready to apply for a CO?
14 months, I'd say,
About 14 months.
possibly 14 to 16 months.
So are you assuming that this building is gonna be occupied before the roadway work is finished?
They should coincide, it should be close.
Okay, so I have a question for Adam, and I say this in support, like Doreen, in support of this project. I'm concerned that if this is up and running and Ross is up and running and that work's not done on the roadway, we're gonna have a serious issue out there.
Well,
So, my question is, Adam, when we vote for this, can we condition the CO on completion of the roadway work? And if you don't know, before the next meeting, can you ask town council?
Yeah, I don't know offhand, I can check with town council.
Okay, because my goal is to let you guys keep going with this project, not get held up. I deal with Mass DOT on a daily basis. I like bike lanes, but.
Yeah, but in the middle of
And
nowhere, Todd,
that's
I
how
mean,
you,
really.
that's how you build it, in pieces. And that's not what the main of the construction is not the bike lanes. Let's be honest, that's not the majority of the pavement is not bike lanes. But I want, your project to be able to go forward, but I shared Doreen and the neighbors' concerns. Up until January, I was driving Route 20 every morning, because that was my favorite Dunkin' Donuts, up on the hill and then coming down to get to the Pike and travel into Boston. And there are a lot of trucks, not just Ross, but there's a lot of trucks, there's a lot of Ross trucks as well. When you guys add trucking in here, I think it's pretty clear you guys are probably gonna have some trucking element in here. It's being built as a warehouse.
Good.
And that's the draw in this area, and we all understand that. But I wanna make sure that when this opens and is occupied, the roadway is safe. And we've taken all measures possible, and I'll be quite honest with you, I think tying the CO helps you guys put a little bit of push behind MassDOT, and so that they understand the importance, and it's not something that they can wait and focus on something else.
Well, I can tell you that the Auburn Building Department required that MassDOT issued the temp access permit modification that allowed the temporary widening to occur before they gave a CO to Ross. So, they're on the same page. We're used to that, dealing with them also on a almost daily basis. I don't think that would be a major problem. I think that would be the expectation, at least even outside of this planning board process. So, that being said, I wanted to let you know that if you weren't aware, that Gary and Caleb on the building department side were in contact with Mass DOT and would not issue a CO until until Mass DOT had issued, and the widening, the temporary widening work was done, and that the bond was provided. So, nearly $3 million bond provided to Mass DOT.
Yeah, I just think whatever help the board can give to our staff to make those decisions, it's a good idea.
All I know is between 4 and 6 o'clock, coming west on Route 20, you're not getting anywhere, long before Ross Express was there.
Oh, yeah, and I think at the evolution of the GPS,
Well, for 8 years.
right, people get off the Mass Pike, they try to take Route 20 west and other routes, and,
If it's slow and going in Auburn, they get off in Millbury and come up 20.
yeah, yep. And
Go ahead, Doreen. Yeah, you can stay there.
So, a couple more questions. I know, again, acknowledging the work they've done. I don't know if planning board members have had an opportunity to do a site visit and just kind of get a sense of what's going on, but number one, I would ask you to do that. The work that they did work on the road, to put a turning lane and maybe a second turn lane, but because it's temporary work, because it's not clear unless you're driving it every day and you know what's going on, even the painted lines and the, I don't know what you call that.
rumble strip, yeah.
That's dug up, like, it's not working because it's temporary. You can't really tell where you're supposed to be, so you just kind of stay in the middle of the lane. And again, I ask you to please take a site visit and just check this out. My second question is, all of these roads, including Commerce, are these all going to remain private roads?
Commerce Drive will be a private, owned by a lot owners association.
So the town won't have any responsibility?
Correct.
Okay. I've been meaning to ask you that at a couple of meetings.
That was made pretty clear, first go around for the first lot.
Exactly,
Ross
correct. Yep, the
Express.
subdivision approval, yeah. And then, confirm with the Ross Express approval, yeah.
And the last thing is just checking on the timeframe for National Grid, because if that easement for National Grid plays into that whole road.
Yeah,
approval.
yep, that's all secured.
It is?
Yep.
Wow, they usually take a long time.
Yeah, it's been in the works for a while. They've been in the loop when, as soon as plans that we felt were at a level that, for them to start, what they call a work request, we started that process. But that, also a lengthy process.
Anybody else have any questions? No. Ron?
No, I just have the same sentiments as Joe and
No,
Todd
good,
and
thank you.
Doreen.
Once this permanent road widening is done, is there gonna be signage where it says right turn lane only?
Oh, yeah, there's extensive signage. Actually, part of this development through the MIPA process, you're going to see road, what they call low-cost improvements, it's kind of a relative term, all the way up to the intersection of Millbury Street. New signage, speed flashback signs, speed limit signs, some timing improvement changes at the traffic light on Millbury Street that came under the suggestion of the Auburn Police Department, but analyzed by the traffic engineer. There's a pretty robust set of, like I said, they call them low-cost improvements as a result of a road safety audit. So, sounds like Todd is familiar with the process, but that road safety audit came as a result of the MIPA process, and it was a very, very robust set of requirements from the MIPA process, all the way up to the intersection of Millbury Street. Line striping, refreshed and repainted line striping, signage, yeah, pretty significant.
So, from before your project going east on Route 20 to Millbury Street, we're gonna have a lane of traffic, a 3-foot buffer, and a bike lane, correct?
Correct.
No breakdown lane. I mean, that's
Well,
not your decision.
Yeah,
that's
yeah. No,
It's
yeah.
DOT's.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're riding your bike, you keep your head up, so if you see a broken-down car, you don't run into it.
Okay.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like we won a little bit of a negotiation with DOT. We don't have to put a sidewalk on the other side.
Yeah.
So it'll be,
Anybody else have any other questions? May I have a motion to continue this to our next meeting?
I'll make a motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, Samara?
Aye.
Ronnie?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Myself, John Rodriguez, and I. It is a vote.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Yep. Next on the agenda is applicant Robert Lemansky for GL McKinstry Trust for a definitive subdivision plan for a two-lot, single-family home development with site improvements on property located at Clare Drive and Linda Avenue, Auburn, Mass. 01501, continued from our 4/11/2023 meeting. Is there anyone here representing Mr. Lemansky? Being none, may I have a motion to continue to our next meeting?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Myself, John Reed, and aye, it is a vote. Other business, decisions on 824 Southbridge Street. You gotta sign that?
I think I already signed that.
Yeah, we're to our cash, right?
We're good, we have 4 signatures.
And then, meeting minutes of 4/11, I never got any meeting minutes, so we'll table that to the next meeting. And, no unforeseen business by me. Any member of the town planner update, other than we still need an alternate? We may need another full-timer if he gets elected to be selectman.
Yes, one thing, there's a housing production plan survey that is out now. You can do it online, it's available on the website. We also have hard copies available, town hall and the library. Encourage everybody to take it, so we get some feedback on housing.
Anybody else have anything they want to say?
No.
May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I, myself, John Reed, and aye. It is a vote. The meeting is now adjourned.